It's Boxing Insider Radio.
How dare them even to challenge me, these fighters, with their primitive boxing skills. You know what I mean? They're as good as dead.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Boxing Insider Radio, bringing you the very best in boxing from around the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to BoxingInsider.com radio, still in quarantine. I'm Larry Goldberg, the owner of BoxingInsider.com, and I am joined again by our old friend and co-host, Curtis Spice Jones. Curtis.
Yo, what the dilly, yo, out here live from Memphis, son, the longest one. What's good? Your boy Curtis Spice Jones in the building.
Well, Curtis is broadcasting from North Carolina. I'm broadcasting from parts unknown, and we have a really interesting show today. We're going to talk with Kenny Porter about all things, including fighting in front of no fans, fighting Manny Pacquiao, having his. I mean, Curtis, what do you think? You guys had history, the two of you.
Yes, we have over 20 years of history. You know, from the amateurs, and so Kenny was a fighter. Like he's a real good stand-up dude. Good father, great father. That separated a lot of fighters from being successful. That stopped a lot of fighters from being successful. Not having a good support system.
Now the two of you have a pre-existing relationship. Could you talk us a little bit about how the two of you guys know each other?
Well, we know each other from boxing. I mean, like, the boxing community is big, but it's small at the same token, because it's like when the best of the best always meet. You know what I mean? And to say, like, I was one of the best, and so I used to always get a chance to travel different countries with different fighters and different trainers and different people, and travel to this national tournament, that international duel. So I was fortunate, one of those amateur fighters that actually had the chance to do that. And Kenny Porter was like a supportive father that was always there, who trained his sons, you know what I mean? And he's always been there for guys like me who didn't have dads that were there, you know? Just like, you know, the Andre Berto and his father and Curtis Stevens, his uncle Andre, like these guys have always been there. Virgil Hunter, a lot of guys.
Well, without any further ado, let's get right to it and talk to the one and only Kenny Porter.
Let's do it.
Joining us now is Kenny Porter, the father and trainer of two-time world champion Shawn Porter. Kenny, how are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
That's what's up, Kenny. Yo, Kenny, talk to us, man. What's been going on since the pandemic hit, man? How's training? How's Shawn staying in shape? Like, what's going on?
Pandemic, I call it the plandemic, brother, man. I believe they planned all of this, but that's a whole nother show. So, for us, it's been business as usual. Every year, I like to say is people like to say they make a New Year's resolution. I like to make New Year's plans. I don't make resolutions. And I had planned coming into this year to recreate my performance center that I had down off the strip for almost 4 years. I had it there. I had planned on recreating that somewhere else, and it wound up being done at my home. And so this pandemic, as I call it, it expedited that process and made me move even faster to put it together. So we're up and running over here. He trains every day at 12:30, and then for the last 2 weeks, he's been doing two a days. So he's going into now his 5th week of training, and he's doing great.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that facility?
Well, as I look out my sliding door windows right here, right now, what I have, it makes it easy for me, you know, in every way, and that was a big part of me doing this for myself. It wasn't done for any other reasons than me wanting to be able to just say, you know what, I don't have to get in the car to go to the gym. I don't have to do anything. I just walk right out and go to work. So what we got set up back here is everything that he will need except a sparring ring. That's the only thing we don't do here. But we have 2 heavy bags set up, 2 speed bags set up. I had a heavy bag platform built by a company. It took about a month to get it done. I brought the flooring from my performance center and put that underneath the heavy bags and speed bag platform. And so he's got rubber flooring there. That is the size of a boxing ring that he can move around in. And then moving on to the left of that, we've got a full ab station of ab crunch machine. We have sit-up machines. We've got abdominal machines. We've got plyometrics area. We got the ropes. We got the half tire that we flip over. We also have.
It sounds like you have a full gym there.
We also have the hammers, sledgehammers to hit the tire with. We got the pull-up machine. We got the rowing machine, the dumbbells, the treadmill, the double in, pull-ups. We got it all. We got the dips. Oh, and I have a swimming pool.
Oh, nice. That's the best part to have.
You got everything, man. Listen, so you put together the operation and I commend you on that. You know what I mean? Because boxing is a very disciplined sport, and it seems like you guys are staying very, very disciplined, and I love that. So it's like, if everything decided to open up I know you're ready, because Shawn is always ready. If everything decided to open up right now, who would be on the hit list?
You know what? The hit list has to be different now because of what we're dealing with. You know, there's so many different things that have to happen now in order for us to be able to fight somebody. I mean, things have just changed. And so I'll just toss one thing out there just from the start. You know, networks and also promoters have to come up with a protocol for how we're going to go about putting on a fight show. And that protocol, and that protocol can be really, really stringent. And for me, myself personally, and not, I'm not avoiding your question. I'm going to get to a name, but for me, myself personally, we started sparring last week. And when we started sparring we started sparring last week, but you got to understand this. I couldn't just bring in any sparring partner, right?
No,
couldn't do that because there's too many things that, there are too many unknown situations there. Okay. So what we did, myself, Shawn, and my assistant trainer, Larry Wade, which we've been working here for 5 weeks ourselves. And we said, okay, and this week right here, the following week is be the week we start sparring. What we did was I took my cleaning service that usually comes to clean my house, and I took them with us, and we went to a facility, and we rented it out just for the 2 hours that we would be there. They opened it up just for us. No one else was allowed there. My lady went in, completely cleaned the ring, completely did the ropes, mopped the floor, the whole area that we would be in before we sat down anything. We didn't drop our bags on the floor, nothing. After that, she completely disinfected all of our equipment, even though we had prior to that cleaned it. But we have to create a protocol for her that she knows this is what she has to do every time she comes in there. So we couldn't just come in and say, oh, don't worry about Shawn's headgear. He already cleaned it. Don't worry about my mitts. I already took care of it. No, we had to create the protocol. So not to avoid your question, but those were things that we had to do just for us to be able to spar. And the only person that I knew that it would be safe for Shawn to spar was this guy that I knew had been training, like he'd been training for like his whole entire life. So I called him up. He answered the call. He came in. His name was Kenny Porter. That was me. So Shawn sparred me last week. We went 4 rounds one day and 4 the next.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear about that.
We might release a little bit of that after I get a little bit better. After I get a little bit better, we might release a little bit of that.
I would have paid to see that, man. Because, like, honestly, knowing you for the years that I've known you, Kenny, I'm talking about this is like 20 years, 20 years in the making. Like, you've always been, like, I always looked up like this big dude, big buff guy with the voice of an angel. You know what I mean? That can sing them notes. You know what I mean? That Luther Vandross. You know what I mean? But you've always been a stand-up, stern person. You know what I mean? I would love to see you at the ring spar. That would make my day.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what happened, and let me go ahead and answer that question. If we could get Manny Pacquiao, if we could get Terrence Crawford, if we could get Errol Spence, if we could get Bud Crawford, those type. If we can get any of those fights coming back, I'm happy. I'm extremely happy. If we wind up getting somebody that's at the bottom of the top 10, I'll take that as the first fight coming back and be ready on that next one for one of those names that I just gave you, the Pacquiaos of the world, the Bud Crawfords of the world, the Errol Spencers of the world, which we move on, to the Keith Thurmans and the Danny Garcias, those type of guys right there. But yeah, that answers your question. I know you guys asked me that and I didn't directly come to it, but as far as right now, I'm buying Shawn some time with him working out with the way we're working and doing the things we're doing right now. I'm buying him some time and buying myself some time as a manager to find the right person that I can bring in here, because I can't just bring somebody in here, put them up in a casino. We live in Vegas, put them up in a casino hotel, and then they around a lot of people, or they're, want to go see what's going on out in the world and so on and so forth. And then it just opens up a whole can of, not even a can of worms. It opens it opens up a beehive, man. It opens up a beehive of everybody gonna get stung. Everybody's gonna get stung.
What are your thoughts about fighting in one of these fights cards with no fans?
My thoughts about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the shortest version I can give you that is this. Some years ago when Keith Thurman, I don't remember what year it was, Keith Thurman and Shawn supposed to fight, and maybe 2 weeks before the fight or somewhere along in there, tops 3 weeks before the fight. So 3 weeks before the fight, and in essence, like, Kurt would know this, 3 weeks before the fight is really just 2, because fight week ain't going to count. You ain't training that week. So, you just getting ready, you just cooling down and everything and stretching and, bringing the last couple pounds off, but you're not doing anything that way. So 3 weeks before the fight, Thurman got into a car accident. I don't even know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So what we did was we went ahead and we put on a fight that nobody paid to see, but it was 12 rounds. I brought in a guy that was in shape to go 12 rounds, and we went 12 rounds, and they did it live on Facebook. And I would say there were, right. We did it in my facility, and I would say there might have been, PBC was there. They had their whole camera crew there and everything. And, we kept Shawn in that mode because he was getting ready to fight. And it was so close when the fight got pulled. And we just felt like, we need to keep pushing. We need to go ahead and bring these last few pounds off, and we need to give him somebody to hit. So we've actually already did a dress rehearsal for something like that. So if they call us and they say, hey guys, you're fighting this guy on this date 6 weeks from now, which would be easy for us because we're coming in our 5th week. But you're fighting this guy, and it's going to be done, in a small place, and, the only people who are going to be allowed to be in there are going to be judges, referees, the cornermen, and the fighters. We'll be ready to go. We've already done a dress rehearsal.
Doing this because it looks like Bob Arum is actually trying to put on a show June 19th in Las Vegas right now with no spectators. I mean, to some people, I've talked to a couple of people who feel like it'll just be like sparring.
Well, the UFC had some, successful events with no fans just recently. As we were talking, we were talking before about protocols. Kenny, would you like to do with a fight based on how the UFC's protocols were last week? I mean, they just did 3 fights with no fans.
I don't know what their protocols were, but I received a phone call from a very intelligent person that I deal with in Boston, and they said we're going to do better than what they did when we get ready to do this, because they saw a lot of holes in what was going on that night. Not just to be a negative towards it, but
what kind of holes?
Just I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't watch it. But to give you an example of what I'm talking about, to give you an example of what I'm talking about, just us, the first 2 sparring sessions that we had, the first one that we had, and we had the cleaning service come in and do things, and we were naming different things off, and we brought everybody, myself, my assistant trainer, her, Shawn, everyone, brought all of these different things that we brought individually for ourselves. We brought the gloves, we had the mat, we had the sanitizer, we had the disinfectant to clean the equipment, so on and so forth. Everybody had that. But then the second time we came in, we were better prepared. After that first run, we were better prepared. So now this next time we came in, I had trash bags for everybody. So when they took off the sweaty workout gear they had and hand wraps, they threw that in a bag. They tied that bag up. Shawn was told, when you get to your house, drop this at the door. It doesn't go into your house. It goes straight to your laundry. I did the same thing. My trainer, Mr. Wade, did the same thing. Cleaning lady did so. So we are now getting better at what we're doing. And so the UFC, by them going out doing it first, people can take a look at what they did and try to improve on that. And then again, also it's going to have to be, because it's in this state in comparison to they were in Florida. Our governor hasn't released us to do the things in this state yet. They haven't opened up facilities for people to go in and just work out and do whatever they want to do yet. So I know that, Bob is kind of leading that charge to get out there, but, there's going to be protocols that come from government as well that everybody's going to have to follow. So we'll just see how that works out.
Definitely. But, it's like some fighters feed off the crowd. I don't think personally Shawn feeds off the crowd. I think Shawn, he's like, seek and destroy. I'm here to fight, and that's it. Whatever the crowd is screaming, they're screaming, and it's so being so on and so forth. Like guys like Floyd Mayweather, they don't focus on the crowd. If they boo, he doesn't even care. You know what I mean? It's like Shawn seems like one of those guys that would be even more dangerous now to fight with no fans in the arena, as opposed to like a guy like Adrian Broner who loves to play to the crowd and feeds off that energy. I mean, your son is already, I believe, in my opinion, and most experts' opinion, the most avoided welterweight to this date. You know what I mean? Just like the guy, what's the guy he fought? Yagagas, what's his name? The Cuban kid? He's another one.
Yeah,
Ugas. Ugas. So he's another one that's very avoided. I mean, like, how do you get these guys to commit to fighting Shawn in an empty arena? Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you convince the people to do that?
I don't know, and I'm gonna agree with you on the first thing that you said. That I don't think Shawn needs a crowd to motivate him. He's being very motivated right now. He's working extremely hard. Like, he literally has not missed a day in 5 weeks of training. He hasn't been late, which he ain't got no excuse, because I'm looking at his house. He lives across the street from me, so I can see his house. Right. Yeah, no. The dude bought a house. The dude bought a house right across the street. I'm like, dude, why you buy this house right here? He's like, I thought it'd be cool to, be right here by you. I thought it'd be cool. I'm like, your first house was just a half a mile down the street. It's 2 lights away, So he got no excuses, but he's been very motivated. To come in and train and do the things that we've asked him to do. And then when we cranked it up 2 weeks ago to 2-a-days, he hasn't missed 1 out of 2-a-day. Now, Kurt, you were a fighter, brother. You know how hard this shit is. Plus, we're in Vegas, and it's 100 degrees every day, and he got to deal with me, So
I'd rather how you roll.
Right. So I don't think And I'm in agreement with you. I don't think he's going to have to be motivated by a crowd in order for him to do what he has to do. And then also, again, if you use someone like a Broner for an example, I do believe, and I'm in agreement with you, that I believe he's the kind of guy that needs a crowd and needs, people around to push and make him do these. There ain't gonna be no hype man in my backyard talking about, come on, champ, let's no, get out of my yard. What are you doing? Ain't nobody. So we don't need that here. So how do we get someone to take that on though? That's a whole nother thing, because I give you a little unknown truthful situation that we've always dealt with, even back to the amateur situation with Shawn. We've always had to make sure that the person we were fighting were taken care of much more nicer than anybody else. If it was an amateur show and we had to bring somebody in, trust me, that coach, everything was taken care of. All the transportation was paid for. The hotels was paid for. The per diems was there. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner was there. Gas cards. They were taken care of. The biggest anything, trophies or whatever we was given, they had everything that they wanted in order for them to come. And a lot of times we had to bring two guys in case one didn't show. And that other guy would get something just for sitting there watching the fight that night, And moving on to the professional ranks, the same thing held true for Shawn. Probably I would probably say his first 20 fights, the guys he fought made more money than he made, because that's the way you had to do it in order to get those guys to come in and take those fights. Even if they just made 1,000 or 1,500 more or 2,500 more than him, they got it, because that's what you had to do to get those guys to take those fights. So now
I know firsthand, because my brother fought Shawn, so I know firsthand. So I know what Corey was paid to fight Shawn. So I know he got paid a pretty grip on that ESPN card.
Oh, the ESPN card, he got paid nice, and Shawn got little, and Shawn got less than him. I know that, but that's true.
I know
Shawn got less than him.
True.
That's true. So now moving forward to where we at. Yeah, now moving forward to where we at, and you're talking about telling the guy, hey, you got to come in here and you're going to fight Shawn Porter, and there's not going to be no crowd, and da-da-da-da. Everything's got to be renegotiated. I know that they're not willing to do the things that they previously have done for us the way it was previously done. Everybody got to go back to the table, you know what I'm saying? And so, people don't realize and understand this, and, you can make out of it whatever you want to make out of it. I'm sure that you understand this part of it, the business part of it, Curtis. I, as a manager, have to make sure that he's getting taken care of and not taken advantage of in that situation.
Definitely,
because
there's a lot of snakes out here.
Right, because now you're saying, well, Mr. Porter, because, the epidemic, virus came and everything, we're only going to, we're not fighting for that.
You would think it would be more money involved, given that it's no fans. So now instead of 10, 15,000 in the stand, you have at 10 and 15, 18,000 more extra viewers.
No, it's a lot. It's a lot, Curtis. It's a lot less money. It's a lot less money because you've taken the ticket sales out of the equation.
Yeah, but if you're like PBC where they have commercials, now you have you can charge more.
Yeah, but everyone's commercial budgets are down because the world is screwed up. They're not spending the same kind of money on commercials that they were spending 2 months ago. So I mean, it's almost as if at what point do you want to, what number do you want to fight at? Because it's going to be considerably less than what you thought you were going to be fighting at 2 months ago.
Well, even if they decided to do pay-per-view as far as not as $59.99 or $69 or whatever, and they just say, you know what, regular fight, we're going to just do $29.99.
But that fight,
will watch.
Tell me if I'm wrong, that fight would work if you fight Terrence Crawford, although the problem is now you've got to deal with the politics of PBC and Top Rank. But, again, unless you do the Manny Pacquiao fight, now that fight, of course, would do big pay-per-view numbers.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'm in agreement with both of you guys. I'm in agreement. No. And that's why they've got to negotiate it. Both sides have got to negotiate it. You guys just play both sides of the equation, and both sides are going to have to negotiate it, meaning that promoter is going to have to negotiate that with me to get Shawn to come there. And then at the same time, their side of it is, their argument is going to be, hey, we're not getting no ticket sales and we don't have this or that. So here's what we're offering Shawn. And then my argument is going to be, okay, but now you've created an app so that people can actually just go ahead and buy Shawn's fight on their phone, watch it on their TV when they get home, or they can sit down and just go ahead and buy it on the television and watch it. So there should be some pay-per-view dollars for us there after he gets over so many sales. So how much are we going to receive for that? So these are all things that will have to be discussed and all things that will have to be worked out before anybody get to the ring. And we are not even talking about, we haven't even discussed that everybody's got to take a COVID test before we can even announce a fight, which will probably be 6 to 8 weeks prior to a fight. Then everybody's probably going to have to take that test again
on fight week before the weigh-in.
And
before the fight.
And we're crossing our fingers to make sure that nothing goes wrong there. Then after the fight is over, everyone that was in that locker room, everyone that was in that ring, has to be tested again. And again, you're crossing your fingers again to make sure or to hope that no one comes out of this with any problems. This is a lot to have to deal with, man. It's not just as easy as just fighting anymore.
A UFC fighter did test positive for COVID-19 too as well before the fight.
And they yanked him out of the hotel.
Before the fight.
Yeah, but they yanked him out of the hotel and he had no interactions with anybody. And according to them, they said the protocols worked by stopping him from, mixing with everybody.
Yeah, okay. But what, when did they do these tests? I don't expect you to know.
No, when they showed up in Florida and checked into the hotel, everybody got tested, and then a fighter and two of his corner people had tested positive because they were, they were immediately sequestered away from everybody else, and did whatever had to be done. But they were kept away from everybody.
Yeah, so my first thoughts is the people I deal with are not going to wait to fight week or not wait until you show up the day of the weigh-ins to do the testing. They're going to do that prior to that.
When you sign the contract, you have to take the test, is what you're saying.
Right, but what I'm also saying is this, which without giving too much information away, I'm just, let's say on my end, I'm speculating that they're going to be asking us to test 6 to 8 weeks prior to. Then we're going to retest again fight week. That's more than likely what's happening there, so that nobody is getting to the actual fight with a situation going on. And also, they're going to ask us to, after we take that test, be sequestered, locked in, locked down for the next 6 weeks, that you're not going to be moving around and doing a lot of things, and minimal to the people that you deal with. So that means whoever is making those phone calls and whoever is putting that together has to trust and believe in the person that is in charge of the fighter. So I've already received that phone call. So I know that, it's going to be a serious situation to have to deal with.
That's definitely a serious situation you have to deal with. I think they should do weekly testing while you're in camp.
Well,
like every week or
when you're talking about the test,
like that.
Kenny, let me ask you, when you're talking about the test, this is a little bit like, them doing the random drug tests. They're going to come and they're going to take a test and they're going to go on your way. Hopefully, everything tests positive or negative, I should say.
I think it's a little more serious than a random drug test.
No, but the protocols of them coming to take the test is what I'm saying would be the same, correct? As far as them just showing up,
they got to create a protocol. So the protocol has to be created, and everybody has to see it. But let's toss that out for a second. Just think about that for a second. Now you're crossing your fingers to hope that he doesn't fail a COVID test, but then you're also crossing your fingers that no other test is failed. This could be a mess.
Oh, this is definitely going to be a mess.
You just blew my top off, man. I forgot even all about
I just did what?
Everybody's so concerned about COVID, but damn, we forgot about the steroids and shit.
You took something else. You know, the tests that kind of stuff is the tests are going to get better as this goes on.
No, but you got to also remember, it's like people are taking so many supplements and so many this, that, and the third to try to combat the COVID-19. Now you're taking
exactly.
That shit just
exactly
just blew my mind.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm taking some shit over here, man. I'm taking some stuff over here. This is called.
Oh, what are you taking?
This is called This is called elderberry, right? You get it from the whole.
No, that's good. Elderberry's good.
Right. And you get it from the whole. And then I'm drinking this tea over here. You know, this wellness tea. And then you don't know what guys are thinking in their minds. They may be trying something to combat the COVID. Just, they get a regular cold or sinus or allergy, anything. They might take something and that may pop them. It could happen. It may not be anything that someone is taking that with an intent to improve their performance, but it may be something that they could take and it can cause you a problem, because I know that for a fact. I've seen guys that have
VADA is very strict. The drug testing people are very strict. I mean, people have failed for all kinds of random things you can get at CVS.
Yeah, this is true.
Just imagine, you see people are now having problems now. I was the one that suffered from the sleep problems and stuff like that. And I was taking the NyQuil Z's. And that probably has codeine or who knows what's in cough syrup or whatever the case may be, just to fall asleep. And what if you're a guy who can't sleep and is taking NyQuil Z's and now you pop for codeine or some shit,
Well, when you're at that level, you have to know what you can and can't take.
Yeah, but again, guys, are just, you don't know where his head is at. I know
these are different times, that's for sure.
And I don't want. Right. I know I probably shouldn't take this, but I'm sick and I'm trying to get healed. I'm trying to get healthy so I can fight.
But you
just take it a couple of times or whatever.
But you can't give a green light for steroids and other things. So that's kind of a hard line to draw.
No. I'm not saying that they would. I'm just simply saying that these things happen. I want to say a month before the lockdown happened, before everybody was put on this shutdown, I was at a fight in New York. That was the Danny Garcia fight.
Of course.
Yeah. That was the last fight.
Yeah, we was there together. I remember.
Yeah. And I was working with a couple of guys on the undercard. One of our opponents had taken Tylenol that week, and they weren't going to let him fight.
Wow.
Tylenol. He took Tylenol. He took Tylenol. Yeah, he took Tylenol. And we basically, begged, borrowed, and did anything we could to convince the commission, please let him go and take a blood test, because he admitted to taking the Tylenol. Please let him go take a blood test and let's see if there's anything in his blood. So they had to rush this dude through New York traffic, which they didn't have to do it. They could have just said, no, he's out. Your guy won't be fighting today. But they rushed this guy through New York traffic, got a blood test done, got the results, came back and said, okay, even though he took some Tylenol in this week, he didn't take enough of it to fail. But New York is very stringent. You can't even take Tylenol fight week in New York. So,
wow.
You tell me what guy wouldn't try to take some Tylenol if he was feeling bad, and you don't think that's anything that would fail you, but it will. In different commissions, New York won't play that.
New York don't play at all. I know that for a fact.
Well, again, to be the devil's advocate on that is if you're obviously as a person, if you, me, or Curtis want to take something, that's fine. But if you're fighting, and these are the rules. Now, you can get exemptions, I assume.
I don't like Larry. You see, me, right? I haven't sparred in months, right? Like, it's been like 8 months or probably longer. And if I was to go to spar today, I would 9 times out of 10, I probably would have a headache the end of the night or the next day, right? What's wrong with taking the over-the-counter Tylenol?
Absolutely.
Like,
well, for you, you're not fighting at Madison Square Garden on that Friday, so you could take anything you want. If you're fighting in Madison Square Garden, if you're fighting, professionally, and if you take, they're the rules. I mean, we have friends, I don't want to say names, of people who got in trouble for stupid things because they didn't read the rules.
True that.
Yeah, because we have to be careful because we don't want to give everyone the right to do steroids, because I mean the VADA had to stop testing everyone during the pandemic because they weren't able to get their people out. So I mean you clearly have certain people are taking advantage of this time, I would assume.
Well, again, like I said, I wasn't making no excuses for anyone. I'm simply saying with Curtis. Yeah, right. I'm simply saying in agreement with Curtis. At this time, you may find some people trying to do some things out of paranoia to make sure that they don't get sick. Just out of their fear of getting sick. I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you, dude. I started sneezing one day for no particular reason. I'm like, okay, where's the elderberry? Okay, where's the other stuff at? You just because of everything that we see going on,
definitely.
It's an unbelievable situation. I would have never thought that my life I would ever see anything like this, and I can't believe that you tell me in less than 3 months more people have died from this than died in a war in less than 3 months.
That's serious. That is extremely over the top. And I'm in North Carolina, hiding out in the country. My neighbor is about 300 feet away from me. I mean, literally,
okay,
it's bad.
Curtis is practicing social distancing.
Yeah. I mean, I can practice social distance with my girl now because she's getting on my nerves. That's another story. That's another story.
Oh, God.
That's another story. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Brandon thing, Kenny, is one thing I've always wanted to ask you. Always wanted to ask you. The night that Shawn beat Adrian Broner, what the hell did Adrian say to you in the ring?
Oh, he came over to the corner and he said, he might have won, but I'll whoop your ass.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, shit.
This is what he said. This is what he said to me. He said, he might have won. He won, but I'll whoop your ass. And when he said that, I gave him the hand. Nigga, I mean, take your ass back on over to the other side. And then my son was like, don't do that. That ain't right. That's not us. Don't do that. I'm like, dude, you heard what he said? Talking about he gonna whoop my ass. He actually came over there and said that.
Wow.
That's what happened. Yeah, he came over there and he said, and let me say this. I've been whooping that boy's ass since he was 10 years old. You remember them tournaments? Curtis, you be at, and everybody would be in the same hotel, even though you had to fight some of them guys the next day or that week, and his little badass and his little badass brother, he had a twin brother, and they was out in the hallway, running up and down the halls and shit like that, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And it was after 11 o'clock, and I told their coach, man, get these dudes in the room. They don't listen to me. They won't listen to me. I said, they come running down here again, I'm going to get them. And, I had to snatch him up way back then. So, and this dude just, he's one of them guys that, he's always been that way since he was very small. So he understands me. He understands how I am. So he said that to me, and I mugged him in his face, told him, get up out of here.
That was very funny. I sit there and I cracked up laughing. Because all through the press conference, he was talking a whole bunch of jack, just smack all day, and then he got his tail whooped.
Yeah,
That was,
and the reasoning for that was because he grew up around
a YouTube
Shawn.
special. They got a YouTube special where it's like fighters who talk junk and get their ass whooped. I'm not quoting it right, but Adrian Broner is #1 on that joint.
No surprise there. Yeah, he's always been that way. He's always run his mouth. But then again, we had a old tape of him fighting on some amateur shows that I put on, and he was up there. You know, they interviewed him after he lost that day, and they interviewed him afterwards and said he was like 18. They interviewed him, and they said, "So who are some of the fighters you look up to?" And right there on the camera, he's like, "My boy Shawn Porter, you know, and you know what I'm saying, Showtime. I look up to him, and then Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy Floyd. That's when he was still Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy Floyd. You know, I want to meet him one day." We have all that on tape. We got all of it. Yeah, we got all that. It was done by a local TV station, and they filmed the whole fight show we had, and they interviewed him afterwards. So, you know, things go around and they come back around, and then, you know, he got to where he got, and then he didn't maintain. And it happens to a lot of guys, man. They get there and they don't realize it's not just getting here. You got to maintain once you get here.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
So Kenny, let me cut you off real quick, Curtis. So, you were talking about potential future fights with Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and also you mentioned Keith Thurman. I was hoping we could just go fight by fight and try to get you to break down how you think a fight with Spence, Pacquiao, Thurman, or Terrence Crawford would go. I guess we can start with Errol Spence again.
Errol Spence again?
Yeah.
Errol Spence again. I think fighting Errol Spence again will be the same type of fight we saw the first time, you know. And what people don't realize and understand, in my opinion, is just mine. And what you got to also understand is everybody has an opinion. And that's how boxing actually works. Boxing doesn't work like football, basketball, or baseball when you score the touchdown and it goes up on the board, or you shoot the three-pointer and it goes up and we see what the score is, or you hit a home run and we see what the score is. No. Boxing is based on opinions. So depending on your opinion and how you see things and your perspective, and also who you want to see be successful that night, will depend on the way you score a fight and who you see as winning that fight, you know? So in my eyes, yeah. And because we don't get the scores, you know, it's an opinionated, you know, situation to be in. So in my eyes, you know, the way that fight went will be a lot like the way the fight will go again. It ain't going to be nothing pretty. It ain't going to be nothing nice, you know, but we have to do it again because it needs to be done, because there's too much that happened that night that we showed that we could do to that guy that made us be successful in the fight, that I say, you know, oh, come on, dude, let's do this again. Because there's no way that, you know, you could tell me that, you know, we're not in this fight and we're not doing good. We were doing very well in the fight. So, you know, at the end of the night, when the decision didn't go our way, and I look at it and I said, okay, we didn't get it. Let's go back and look at the tape. And I go back and look at the tape, and you tell me, not you guys, but someone tells me Shawn only won 4 rounds out of that fight. Nah, can't believe that.
You know,
but then again, another judge says Shawn was the guy that won 8 rounds out of the fight. You know,
that's crazy. You know, it's like, it's 2 fights that, like, for one, 2 things I'm gonna say. One, I don't think PBC capitalized off that fight, because that fight and how that fight went was so action-packed. They robbed the fans without making that a rematch. Making that rematch right away. They should have made that rematch right away, because it deserved a part 2. I mean, it's so many cliffhangers. It's like name a movie you could have saw a part 2 to it. The way they ended, you know what I mean? The way it ended, it left us like wanting more. And yet they robbed us of that and didn't give us more of that. And I think Shawn deserves another chance. This is the Keith Thurman fight. I sat there front row. I thought Shawn won that fight. And then I hear listen to the commentators like Malinanji and a couple of these guys. I'm like, listen, I know as a boxer, right? From my experience in boxing, if a guy is working and the other guy is not working, that guy should get credit for his work. And I believe in a lot of these fights with Shawn, I believe Shawn wasn't given the proper credit for his work. And that's just my opinion. And I think, it wasn't fair.
Opinion. Yeah. And it's opinion, and it happens. And we're deserving, and we're like these guys again. And the difference between us and those guys is this. No matter what your opinion may have been of the fight, who won, who didn't win, the difference between that is, I'm quite sure both of you guys know, we will take that fight with any one of those guys when they tell us it's time to fight, in comparison to those guys saying, no, I don't want to fight Shawn again. Trust me. It's like jumping out of a plane. You make it one time and you survive, you probably don't want to do it again.
So how would you see the fight with Manny Pacquiao going?
Man, that's going to be a hell of a fight. And I say it's going to be a hell of a fight because I'm speaking into existence that we'll actually get a chance and an opportunity to fight Manny. I've seen Shawn and Manny spar over 50 rounds.
Have you guys discussed this fight seriously?
Well, we've had discussions not with Pacquiao to fight or Pacquiao's people to fight, but we've had discussions with the people that put the fights together that we would love to have the fight.
Okay.
So we haven't had any, direct contact with them to discuss making that fight. But that's going to be another fight of the year. And I'm going to tell you that, this is my opinion. And, obviously people are going to say, well, he had that opinion because that's his fighter. I might have this opinion because it's my fighter, but I do not think you're going to disagree with me and say when Errol and Shawn fought, you weren't excited every round, and you're not going to buy the next one if they fight again. You're going to buy it. You're going to want to see it. So it's my opinion that you put a Manny Pacquiao and a Shawn Porter in the ring together, and you say at one point in time Shawn was Pacquiao's sparring partner and Shawn was 10-0 with 9 knockouts. And by the way, he was going for his 10th knockout when he fought Curtis' brother, and Curtis' brother made sure that didn't happen. So he stopped our knockout streak right there. But just a little tidbit. Toss that in there. Yeah. He made sure that Shawn didn't stop him, and that stopped the little. We was going for that, but yeah, Shawn was Pacquiao's sparring partner when Pacquiao fought Miguel Cotto, and when he fought Sugar Shane Mosley, and then Shawn went on to become a 2-time world champion. So now you have the backstory of them previously, fighting each other, sparring each other when Shawn was 21 years old, and then X amount of years later, here they are, Manny Pacquiao, world champion. Shawn won 2 world championships and, challenging Manny, sparring partner against the champion. And, I think that makes for a great fight. How do I see that going? Another explosion in the middle of the ring. These dudes going to rock out all night. Somebody going to get hurt and somebody going to come back from that, because neither one of them are going to back away from it. It ain't going to be a situation where either one of those guys back away from whatever the other guy is doing. So,
do you have any good stories for when they did spar with each other?
Good stories. It wasn't the best story, but we were in the Philippines. Yeah. It wasn't the best story. On our behalf, it wasn't the best. We were in the Philippines, and Freddie Rose put up $1,000 bounty. Said anybody that could drop Manny Pacquiao would get $1,000. And Shawn was young, and right. Shawn was young and 21 years old, and I'm like, man, we need to be, we need to get that $1,000, And he's like, yeah, I need that $1,000, and so they were going there, man, and you thought you were watching again. As we discussed earlier, if you're having fights and there's no crowd there, depending upon who the individuals that you put in that fight, that's going to determine how guys fight. You can't put a guy who's slow to get started, don't get started to 5 or 6 rounds into a fight in there with a top fighter, because it's gonna make for a boring fight. So you're gonna have to put 2 guys in there that really want to go at it. And so this is what they did that day. And Shawn caught him with something, and it was really nice. And Manny was going down, and I mean, I saw him falling, but some kind of way he's got some strong legs. Some kind of way he never hit the canvas. He rose back up, and he came right back on Shawn, and rocked out with him. And Freddie is like, man, I had that money in my hand, getting ready to give it to you, but Manny came back from it. He didn't go down, and the rumor was that he did, and so I never disputed it when people started saying, yeah, we heard Shawn drop Manny. I just let people think whatever they wanted to think, but no, he actually did not. He did not go down. And then, we got back to the U.S. and they fired us, man. You know how that go, Kurt. Wow. You putting too much heat on the champ.
I got sent home. Yeah. Sid Vanderpool was getting ready to fight Jeff Lacey. I got sent home breaking Vanderpool's nose.
yeah. Listen, we came back to our hotel room and the keys wouldn't work. And we went to the desk. He's like, we need a new key or something. Demagnetized. It's like, no, they told us that you're not working with Manny anymore. And so your room is not being paid for anymore. And I went
that's
to Freddie,
cold.
I was like, oh yeah, I went to Freddie. I said, man, what's going on? My son and I, we here and, we've been working with you guys, and all of a sudden they tell us, and he just flat out told me, he said, he's just too good, man. He's just too good. And, we can't use him no more. He's just too good. And so he said, but I'll go ahead and I'll take care of the room for you guys and make sure everything is good. And so they did. And
but you found out about this because your hotel room keys didn't work.
I found out about it because the hotel keys did not work. That's why I said it wasn't the best story for us.
But that's just crazy that's how how that went down.
Hey, look, this is you remember Dusty Camp? This is boxing confessions. I went back to my room. The key didn't work.
Yes, that's how the tough guys told us that we were fired. They wouldn't tell us to our face, but they they kicked us out of the hotel room.
It wasn't on Freddie. Freddie made it right.
No, it wasn't on Freddie.
It wasn't on him. It was on the management.
The management team.
The management said, get this dude out of here. Now, Freddie overrode that. The next time we came to camp, they had 5 sparring partners, and I want to say 3 weeks after we were in camp, he got rid of everybody else, and it just wound up being Shawn and Manny for the whole camp.
Oh, so the two of them actually got to bond afterwards and became friends or friendly.
Oh no, we did everything with Manny when we were there with him. Both camps. We did a camp in the Philippines 6 weeks one time. Another camp, we did a camp in the Philippines for 5 weeks. I mean, they ate dinner together every day. We went to church with them on the weekends. They were always cool. It was never anything like that at all. But, management, who the guy he used to have managing back then, said, you got to get this kid out of here. And then the next time we came back for the next camp, which was the Mosley camp, they got rid of everybody else and just kept one guy. So you only had to pay one guy.
Saved some money.
They saved a lot. Yeah, they saved a lot. Yeah.
And Manny
the Bud Crawford fight.
Well, that was our next question.
Go ahead. No,
I'm just saying that you're saying that he was good enough for.
I got my opinion on that. I got my opinion on that Bud Crawford fight. And I don't, it's I'm friends, with guys and stuff like that. But honestly, if I'm Bud Crawford, I don't fight Shawn Porter. Not to say that, I just think that's just matchup wise, I don't think it's a good fight for him at all. Matchup wise, seriously, I just think. So
you're talking about the Styles making the fights?
Styles make fights, and I think honestly, Shawn Styles gets him. This is just honestly, just my opinion. And I think the welterweight division itself is a Styles makes fight kind of fight. I think Terrence beats Errol. I think Terrence beats Errol. But I don't think everybody can beat everybody in the welterweight division. You know what I mean? Like it's funny. It's just like who you gonna put against who at the same time. You know what I mean? Like I said,
I get
PBC should have capitalized off of Errol and Shawn again. And now since the car crash, I don't think Errol will probably be the same. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that?
I hope that he is. You know, I seen him when he came out into public and made his first appearance, and that was at the Charlo Harrison fight. And the crazy thing about that was I didn't stay at the host hotel because I decided to go up, you know, not early in fight week. And then, you know, I called up the people and I said, I'm only going to come up the night before the fight. And it's like, well, the host hotel is already packed. And I was like, okay, it's cool. I'll get one near. Just so happens the one that I got near there was the one that he decided to check into. And he was checking in and he was getting on the elevator and I was coming off. And we met face to face. And that was the first time I had seen him since we had fought, you know. And my history with the kid is, you know, I go way back with him to the amateurs. I was actually his head coach, took him to the Ukraine. I was his head coach, and I took him to Russia on an international team. So I was the head coach of that team. So I go way back with him, and I seen him, and I was happy to see him and happy to see, you know, that he was doing better from, you know, the car accident. And, you know, one of the first things that, you know, happened when you open up a elevator door and you see somebody that you don't expect to see right there that close to you is, you know, you got that shocked look on your face.
Grab him by the collar and pull him in.
Yeah, you got that shocked look on your face, you know. So I reached out and broke the uncomfortable moment by giving him a hug, man. And, you know, it just, you know, it's just, life is so precious, man. You know, it's just amazing that, you know, he made it through that just by the grace of God. But, you know, him coming back from those type of injuries and everything like that, you know, that's a serious situation to have to deal with. We don't know the extent. Obviously, he never told, and he's probably never going to tell the extent of the injuries. I wouldn't if I was in that injury, in that type of accident. I wouldn't tell, or, you know, God forbid, you know, some fighter that I was training was in that, I would advise him not to talk about it, you know, to what degrees he may have had injuries. But, you know, I can speak to Kurt on this, you know, you being a former fighter, just going to camp to get in shape for a fight, your body goes through a lot of different twists and turns and trauma and all kinds of things like that, just getting in shape, right? Now, we're not even talking about you actually sparring. We're just talking about the rigors of running, the rigors of strength conditioning, the pounding that your body's taking, just hitting the bag, because, you know, your shoulders and your back and everything, if you haven't done that in a while, you know, everything has to get in shape. Now, let's go ahead and add on, you start sparring and you've got anything that's bothering you, any ailments that you have, they're now going to start showing up. So as you start doing your sparring and things like that, you know, say, you know, your coach says, okay, we're going to go 4 rounds today. Well, we got to see how you feel after you do those 4 rounds, not just how you look in the sparring session, but how you feel 2 days from now. And we don't know if what we're looking at,
a good service.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't know if what we're looking at is just from you being out of the ring for this period of time, or if it's also some of the residue of what you've been in, you know, the accident that you had. And then moving forward from there, now you're talking about getting ready to fight a guy like Shawn Porter and what you're going to have to take yourself through to get in shape to fight him. And if along that way, getting in shape, which that's a totally different type of shape. That's a totally different type of conditioning you got to be in to fight a Shawn Porter, because he's going to expose that.
I talked to Keith Thurman. I talked to Keith Thurman after he fought Shawn, right? Like, me and him talked or whatever. We sitting there laughing or whatever. I was sipping a little Henny or whatever, just like looking at it like, you're crazy, you drink too much. And, you know, he was like, yo, son, honestly, he hit me on my arm. He said, yo, son, I couldn't move that shit for like a round or two. He was like, yo, son, it's like, he said, yo, fighting him, he said, I ain't never fight nobody like that ever in his life. He says, like, yo, it's a fight the whole time. You know what I mean? So when you go through a serious accident like that, I think you would have to ease yourself back into fighting contention to go through what do they call it? The octagon. What they call it? The triathlon. You know what I mean? A triathlon. You gotta go through rigorous things when you do a triathlon. Like you gotta swim, you gotta run, you gotta jump, you gotta climb, if you want to go and fight Shawn Porter, like, to be honest with you, like, you're fighting a guy who's athletic, super athletic, unorthodox in a sense, and always in shape. And he's going to fight you for 12 rounds.
Yeah, and then he got this crazy-ass dude in his ear the whole night.
Yeah. Listen, I'm scared of you still. Look, I ain't even 14 no more. I'm still scared of you.
Yeah. I remember I seen an interview. Keith said, fighting Shawn was like, I got to fight Shawn and I got to fight his dad. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because, at one point in time, I even have had opportunities where I work Keith's corner, not only in the amateurs, but in the pros. I was in his corner.
Wow.
Yeah, I worked his corner in the Pan Am trials when he's trying to make the Pan Am team, and we made it to the finals. And in the championship, he wound up fighting Andrade, and that's where he lost at. Also, I had him in the U.S.
This boxing community is so small. So small.
Yeah.
Not to cut you off. It's just like so small. It's like people don't understand like how a guy from Brooklyn could be so tight with a guy from Akron, Ohio. Like, elaborate on how small the world is. Like, you work this man's corner in the amateurs and professionals.
Yeah.
And did karaoke with me. Like, how dope
but
is
I'm
that?
not from. Yeah, but I'm not from Akron, Ohio. I'm from Cleveland. Everybody tosses that out there. No. I just, it's like everybody tosses that out there, and I'm like, why did they think that? I don't know. But, I never lived in Akron, Ohio. Shawn never went to any Akron schools, anything like that. We were in a suburb of that city, but we were never there. But yeah. And then, wait a minute, not only did I work his corner in the Pan Am trials, but I had him in the USA versus Ukraine, and we had an odd number on the fighters that we had in the tournament. And since I was a younger coach, they put me in a room with Keith. So me and Keith shared a room for a week leading up to his fight. And only two fighters that won that day on Team USA versus Ukraine were Shawn, who fought Alexander Usyk, who used to be at 168.5. 6'4" and
how
left-handed.
dope is that? Like,
yeah. Like, and we won. And
people are so big on Usyk. My son already beat him.
right. Yeah, we got a decision over him, and Keith won. Both of those guys won. And then in the pros, Keith was fighting here in Las Vegas, and I was at the fight, and his coach comes up to me, Kenny, I got a problem. Like, what's going on? And he's like, my guy got sick, and he ain't gonna be able to make it. I need you to work the corner with me and Keith. Well, Keith's trainer is from Ohio, so I go way back with him to when I was fighting as an amateur. Right? I even have still somewhere, I have a gym key to their gym in Florida when we used to train there as well. So, there you go, how small this boxing community can be. Keith's coach is from Ohio, maybe 30 minutes from where I lived, and we go back to the amateur system. And so I worked his corner that night with Keith in that fight, So, I mean, it goes around and it comes back around in boxing.
Yes, it definitely does. Big world, small community. Yeah, definitely. Kenny, no lie, man. It was great, like, having you. Like, I hope we could do this in the future. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, we could patch Shawn in too sometimes, or even get Larry Wade in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
talk about
how
his strength and conditioning and his track.
Yeah,
stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
I would tell him about this. I'll tell him about this and let both of them know that they should come on your show. We can get that done. That's not a problem. Let me toss in one more of them archive tidbits, information people don't know. I actually was sitting ringside when Kurt was fighting in the Eastern Olympic Trials.
Ooh.
In 2003. In 2003 in the Poconos, I was actually there when he was fighting amateur in the Eastern Olympic Trials. So there you go.
How did you do?
Yeah.
How did Curtis look in the trials?
Oh, he looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great. Yeah, he looked great. He was a good boxer, man. All them boys from New York was good. You know what? I think I know the guy's name. Kurt, it came to me and I didn't speak to you. I think I know the guy's name that my son Kenny was like up by 10 points beating and got hit with a low blow, and it just changed the whole complex of the fight. And they let him hit him with low blows throughout the fight. Do you remember a guy out of Philly, Hawkins?
Oh,
it might have been Yusuf.
Saeed Hawkins.
No, it was Saeed. Yeah, that's who he fought. Yeah, it was Saeed. That's who he fought. Yep. That's who he fought.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we had a great night. You, David Reed singing karaoke.
Man. God is good, man. Just a blessing to still.
God is good, man.
Blessing. Yeah, man. It's a blessing to have this conversation so many years later, man. That was 2003.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you guys got a chance to reconnect.
Yeah. Close to 20 years, 17, 18 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, guys, I would definitely speak to Shawn and also Larry about coming on your show. Let me know when we can listen to this and we can put it together, man. I'll definitely put you in contact with them guys.
Cool. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Call me anytime.
We will.
All right.
Well, that was a really fascinating interview we just had with Kenny Porter. What do you think, Curtis? I mean, he's talked about so many things from the pandemic to all kinds of fights with Shawn Porter. I mean, it was very fascinating to hear the guy talk.
I mean, listen, he's a very, very, very colorful guy. A very, very colorful guy. And like I always say, he's a stand-up guy. Like one of those great in the black communities. You know what I mean? And he touched on so much. You know, he touched on so much as far as like the precautions that he's taking, not only for himself, but for Shawn and his team and other people that they're bringing in to work and do sparring with. Like, he seems to be like he said, he doesn't have a New Year's resolution. He has a New Year's plan. You know what I mean? His plan is to he just sets a plan in motion and he follows straight through. He has tunnel vision with that. It's like a racehorse. You know, they got the little blinders on. He just sees straight. He doesn't see behind or side or nothing. And I love that.
Well, I mean, Shawn is clearly in good company as far as having a manager who's so knowledgeable, and his father, who obviously loves him and is protecting him. But I mean, I would love. Who wouldn't want to see him fighting Manny Pacquiao, or a fight with Errol Spence, or a fight with Terrence Crawford? Or I mean, these are three big fights that these guys could be in. You know, hopefully this year if things work out for everybody.
Definitely. I would love to see him in a fight with Manny Pacquiao because history will remember that fight. That fight itself, history will always remember that fight.
Well, that would be a huge fight for the PBC. That would be a huge fight for everybody. And, I mean, that would be something that we would all love to see for sure.
And I think that Manny Pacquiao will punch Shawn Porter's ticket into the Hall of Fame, Boxing Hall of Fame.
His ticket may have been punched.
I believe he will win that fight.
Well, that would be a big win for him.
His overall physicality alone. It's like you have two awkward guys. Manny Pacquiao is an awkward guy who's similar. His fighting style similar to Bruce Lee, you know, with the 1-2s and stuff like that. And he charges in. And you have Shawn Porter, who, you know, he's very athletic. He's like a springboard. His legs drops low, comes up, boom, with unorthodox punches with tremendous force. And I think these two will just be like a bomb exploding. And I would love to see that fight. I would love to actually see that fight.
I hope we get to see that fight. And of course, I got to tell you before we go, I've missed you, man. We don't see each other like we used to. We used to have this, camaraderie. We don't have Henry and Jose here. We're not in our studio, but it's nice that we actually got a chance to finally figure out this technology to do a show, you and I, again.
Definitely. And hopefully, like, moving forward, like, since now you finally paid your Zoom bill.
I paid my Zoom bill and my electric bill, yes. And I have this nice little mixer from Rode. I like to plug Rode.
You paid the bills. Finally your stimulus package came through.
Oh, I've been paying for you. I've been paying your bills and some of my other co-host bills. I mean, this stuff adds up real quick. We really do need a sponsor. I mean, really. I mean, if you could talk to Google or something, that'd be really helpful.
We could talk to Google. We could talk to
Apple.
Right now, I'm sipping on some Moscato right now.
Walmart,
Moscato. I'm sipping on Moscato, and I'm drinking a Corona. Not coronavirus, but I'm drinking actually Corona, even though the sales went down because people are so ignorant in the world. Think you drink Corona, you get coronavirus, but whatever. But no, that was a very interesting show, and like, I was so happy that Kenny agreed to come on and do it. Like, yo, this was honestly like one of our better shows. Like, I would never lie to you.
Well, Curse, any show that you're on is one of our better shows.
Come on. You know how Big Daddy do it. You lay it down, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that just doesn't sound right for a boxing show. Guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Stay up to date with all things Boxing Insider at boxinginsider.com and across all social.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best.
Until next week's fight, go to your premier boxing destination, boxinginsider.com.